the answer to the last question is no. Joe, they've moved with such speed, and that includes the Congress. Bicameral, bipartisan package went through very quickly, and the president signed it as soon as it got to his desk. And I think that Secretary Mnuchin and Administrator Carranza and others who are in charge of administering these loans and these checks have done a fantastic job for the small businesses, in this case, directly getting it in the hands of people who need to pay, their bills this month. So the speed has been remarkable. I think the most important part of that check is the $1,200, or if you're a family of four, the $3,400.
Kellyanne, can you clarify, the President's Council on Reopening the Country, how is that going to work? The President listed off a long list of names yesterday, but how will they work? How will they meet? How will they make recommendations to the President? And is there any thought to diversifying that council beyond what was predominantly a group of very wealthy white men, not exactly those who have been at risk?
The president has calls on his schedule. I don't know if you checked his schedule yet today, but he has 4 calls with those sectors, even today, banking, healthcare, technology, sports, quite a number of them. So he's starting, just announced them last night, started just today. I think that list is probably less exhaustive than it is illustrative, and there will be other people raising their hand and saying, how can I help? We don't pick who the heads of the sports commission leagues and CEOs of companies are who want to help.
Counseling. You could pick small businesses. They could pick other people bringing diverse voices to this.
Paula, I don't know what's happened to you. Respectfully, I don't know why you've changed and you're in the briefing room screaming at Anthony Fauci and the President of the United States. I frankly think it's unbecoming. But that aside, I'll answer the question about how they're going to help America, which is why I'm here. I think you're here for a different reason, it seems, these days. I'm here, and the council has stepped up because they want to help Americans. 17 million of whom have claimed unemployment, many more who are claiming unemployment insurance, I believe. You've got about a third of renters who didn't pay their rent last month because they couldn't. You've got people whose financial circumstances change like that, and we're trying to help them. So they are going to stand up, and they're going to say, here are my best practices in my industry. Here's what we think we can do in terms of testing, hospital capacity, antibody testing. Certainly, can we surge any need in a particular area or community that may be a hot spot in the future, even though the curve is flattening. And there are 24% of our counties this year. Right now, 24% of the counties have no outbreak whatsoever. And about 29 states feel that they perhaps could come back online a little bit more robustly. So it's not going to be turning a spigot everywhere immediately. I saw Mayor de Blasio preceded me on Fox News Channel this morning, and he said he would be cautious. I understand that completely, coming from the mayor of New York City or the governor of New York. They have half of the deaths in our country, I think, approximately, are in New York. But that will not be the case in every state. So the president said the governors, he'll work with the governors. They'll have a final say as to some of the plans. Some of them are working regionally, but the best positioned person to restart the Trump economy is the person who got the Trump economy going, and that's Donald Trump. So we're very glad the private sector has stepped up for everything from donating supplies to working food banks to converting their parking lots to testing sites and field hospitals to converting their manufacturing plants to make ventilators and face shields and to provide PPE and send their airplanes abroad to bring back critical medical supplies, and now stepping up and saying, how can I help? So I think that's very important.
On the World Health Organization, I'm sorry, it's well established that there were problems with China, also that the World Health Organization dropped the ball in a lot of ways. Nonetheless, can you sort of address directly the questions that have been raised about whether the president is sort of using them as a scapegoat for not moving quickly enough after January?
Well, they're not a scapegoat. They're in charge of coordinating infectious disease facts and figures, responses. And I think at the very minimum, Joe, that we, the American people, the taxpayers who foot the bill for WHO at the tune of $830 million plus over the last 2 years, roughly 90% more than China paid. They paid 10% of that. In fact, Italy, India, France, and China combined pay about 10% of what the U.S. paid. I read that at the very, very least, we should expect a return on that investment, that the WHO tells us the truth about this virus. its origins, whether it can be transmitted human to human. They denied that. They made a very political statement that when the president shut down travel from China, that was a very early, bold action that saved many lives here. But lying about it, not being transparent, let's at least hit pause and investigate that. Nobody's scapegoating them. We're asking them why they didn't do their job. They had one job, and it looks like they didn't do it. It's called COVID-19, not COVID-20. It originated in 2019, even though the WHO called it a global pandemic sometime in March of 2020. So they knew for a while, and they dragged their feet, it looks like, and we just want to know what they knew and was the truth there. By February 28th in this country, Dr. Redfield told us last week, February 28th we had only 14 cases in this country. 14. They all originated, some had some connection, traveled to China, and there were only 2 human-to-human transmissions, and those were spouses. I think there was one couple.
But the president was all on board with China around January 24th or so when he put up that tweet.
Deals. You're talking about the trade deal?
No.
To follow up, he said, Kellyanne, he said on January 24th, he said the president said the United States greatly appreciates China's efforts and its transparency. Why in January was the president praising China's transparency?
Because we figured that we were getting transparent and factual information, and the WHO has responsibility in that too. And a week later, the president did what many people criticized him for doing, which literally saved lives, which is to shut down travel from China. People said travel bans don't work. He's xenophobic, racist. It worked.
He wasn't putting economic interests above health interests, as some critics
No, he certainly wasn't. Yes, I'm sure. No, he certainly wasn't. And that's why he's taking this action. That's why he continues to say he's not looking at any certain date. He's looking at data. He said very clearly 3 weeks ago yesterday that this is a medical crisis before it's a financial crisis. He continues to say that. And he's listening to the health and medical experts as to when they feel comfortable, along with the economic experts, to turn on pieces of our economy in certain places and certain industries.
The president said in April, when things get warmer, this illness will amazingly, miraculously go away. Today's not that warm, I acknowledge, but it's obviously starting to get warm now.
The president said a lot, and when you cherry pick what he said, you're not doing your job, and you're not helping the American people who are relying upon you for facts and figures.
So this is why I want to ask you the question.
It wasn't a question, it was a screed.
I don't even have a microphone on, so I can't provide a screen. I'm asking you to answer the question. The simple question is, what do you say to Americans who are hopeful that when warm weather comes, like in April, this will disappear? Will warm weather dissipate this virus?
I'd say to Americans they should be thrilled that the President of the United States and his entire government, and now the private sector, and working with the governors, and the Congress, have given this urgent, immediate response, very robust response, unprecedented response really, for an unprecedented virus in this country, in this century, to secure the homeland, to make sure that people have access to ventilators, to critical care. The governor of New York said he needed 40,000 ventilators. He got 10% of that, and we're told it was adequate. That now, thank God, the curve is flattening there. Let's hope that's true. The hospitalizations are down. We provided the Comfort and the Mercy ships. We converted the Javits and other hotels to hospitals. We have 25,000 National Guard deployed. That should make Americans very happy that at the very early stages, the president had the pharmaceutical labs in here to talk about therapeutics and a vaccine. And how long would that take? So we're on it, but the WHO was not. And frankly, others were not. And so I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to talk about how the virus disappears this way or that way, but having a vaccine, having therapeutics, mitigating the damage, asking Americans to do what Americans have done by and large, which is stay 6 feet apart, wear face cloths or other coverings, masks, stay at home where you've gotten that order from your own state government, and people are complying with that, and that has saved lives and saved a lot of heartache. There's already so much heartache and damage and loss in this country, and we're grief-stricken for all of that. But this president and his health team have worked around the clock, and I think people see that, and he's been available to you every day, very transparent, very accountable. Anything else?
I've just read Dr. Redfield said this morning that he doesn't think now is the right time for defunding or pausing funding for the WHO. I know there's questions they need to answer, but do you think that during the pandemic is the right time to be making this move?
Well, they got the money. They have a lot of the money, but it's $830 million plus over the last 2 years, and all we needed was the truth in return. All we needed was some honest information about the origins of the virus. Can it come? Can it be transmitted human to human? What are the risks here? And is it like any other strand? Again, it's COVID-19. They knew about it last year. It's already April. We're 4 months past, or 4.5 months past last year, and we're fighting this right now. In some places, it's at its peak.
But if we're fighting it right now, do you think now's the time to pause funding to the organization?
It's an investigation. It's an assessment. It's an assessment, and I think as the president has made clear on other issues like the WTO and NATO, other people can step up also. And contribute more, including China, which contributes 10%. The virus originated there. Nobody denies that. And they gave 10% of what this country gave to the WHO. So they are welcome to step up. They say their economy is back online. They're welcome to step up and contribute more money. But we just want the truth for the American people who have paid over almost $1 billion in just the last couple of years. We've been paying it for ages.
Just for clarity, when would the next payment be? Which is to say, if there's an assessment now, a review.
I don't know the timetable
in other
for
words,
the payments.
It's not like there's a check on Friday that you're not paying. It may not be until next year, so we
Correct.
may be sitting on this and nothing actually changes. Is that what you're saying?
That depends on when the timetable for the payments, and I didn't look that up. I only know that there's a 90-day pause. Pardon?
To whom could I ask that question? Like
Maybe legislative. I mean, I assume this was an appropriations, but or OMB is looking at it.
Is one of the goals here to get China to pay more?
One of the goals is to get the WHO. The WHO had one job in this case, and it was to be honest about this virus and to give information. Thank you. And China should pay more. Other countries should pay more. I mean, we've gone through this with how many different issues. But if we are going to pay that kind of money, Joe, if we're going to be the major funders, along with some private interests like the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation, incredibly generous all around the globe, God bless them. We would like a little minor return on that investment is when COVID-19 hits and we're fighting it in mid-2020, that we would have had the information that we needed.
Kellyanne, is anyone else concerned about what happened in Wisconsin with the judicial race, possibly suggesting the president may not have the support he needs in Wisconsin?
No, there was a competitive primary because Biden and Bernie were still fighting it out. So there was a lot of turnout there, a lot of excitement on the Democratic side. Obviously, the president doesn't have an opponent, even though for some reason you guys gave a lot of coverage to the 0.5%ers combined and some of their consultants. But there was a high turnout there, and I think that candidates, I guess these are two judicial candidates, they have to run their own races. But obviously the president didn't go to Wisconsin, wasn't there campaigning for the judicial candidate. I think sent out a tweet. But there was a lot of mail-in voting. But there was also a very unusual election this time. But the critical part of it, as I understand from what I hear, and I'm not focused here on politics, so I'd like to say I'm not talking about Biden and Bernie, I'm talking about ventilators and vaccines these days, but there was a competitive primary for president. It was the last stand for a lot of those Bernie voters to come out and say they're not happy with the Obama-Biden wing of the party and the legacy that was left behind. They never thought they went far enough, and I guess don't think that they'll go far enough again. It was good to see President Obama out yesterday, though, 1 whole year after his vice president announced he would be running for president, to come out. I think Biden deserved better treatment. He got much better treatment from the current president, my boss, and our president, Donald Trump, when he called looking for the president. This president took his call. It's a shame the president he served for 8 years didn't take his call for a year.
Antibodies. Has anybody at the White House gotten antibody testing, including the president?
I don't know that.
Have you?
I don't know that. I have not had an antibody test. I've had the COVID test.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kellyanne.